Greetings everyone, this is Angelo from Dogs of War Gaming. We're trying something new on the channel. We're going to be posting videos from games being played on Octagon. So this will be one of the first matches that'll be going up. This is a match of me playing Reina against a random opponent over on the Octagon servers. So as you can see, we're getting set up here for an opening hand. This isn't too bad. You can see me telling Grayus there that I was finally happy to find somebody on Octagon who wasn't playing Fast Advance, as the entire night had been filled with them by this point. I mulligan out that opening hand into something much, much better. So the point of this Reina deck is to bankrupt your opponent, force them to res ice, make it more expensive, and then when you have the chance, land an account siphon, drain their credits, and use things like Crescentus to shut down their ice after you've broken it the first time so they can't res anymore. So you can see here he starts with a typical install over R&D and he credits. It's almost like he knew I had two mediums in my hand. But he takes one of those credits back, probably a misclick, and drops an upgrade over HQ. So starting my turn out, typical opening hand here. I think for most runners that see it, I'll sure gamble. Install Vigil. Vigil's great in this deck. It'll always allow you to draw cards if you can bankrupt the runner pretty effectively, as a bankrupt runner will not be able to install cards and res them very often. So I run there, trying to see if I get the account siphon off, thinking that might be a Chrysium grid. Turns out to be a Hokusai, so sad times there. As you can see, it trashes my account siphon, and that's just really unfortunate. But at least I blew up the Hokusai grid, and it goes away. So here was something a little weird with Octagon. I accessed, and for some reason, I think I messed up there. I told it to do one card, but it showed me two for some reason. I didn't realize, but it was maybe showing that Hokusai grid that was installed there. I thought maybe it was another one in his hand. So that House of Knives I was probably actually supposed to get, but thinking I had just accessed too many cards, I went ahead and just trashed the one Hokusai grid that was installed and left the House of Knives there. I don't think that was actually a mistake on my part. I think Octagon, for some reason, when you access on HQ with upgrades installed, it might actually give you both the upgrade and the card in hand instead. So that's just something for me to remember going forward in the future. I figured you had to access them like normal. So we're working it out there in the chat box, and then we're going to proceed on. He draws a card first click. Presumably he's looking for some ice. There he goes and finds a piece. I'm guessing at this point that, typical Jinteki ice, those are probably some net damage pieces of ice sitting there. So do I take a risk and run, or do I, try to find something else? And I go ahead and run, figuring at least I can force him to res it. And if he does res it, he loses an extra credit. And worst case is I've got an I have worse in my hand, which I find a snare. And I have worse triggers. I draw into another I have had worse, a corroder, another vigil, and a liberated accounts. So overall, not too bad. I lost both mediums, which is kind of unfortunate, but there are deja vus in the deck, so it's not too bad. So now I'll run back in again, see if I can find something else. Again, having that I've had worse in my hand makes me feel good. So I don't play a lot of side games, and I kind of misread what Future Perfect did. I forgot that we had to spend the same amount of credits instead of different amounts, so I spent 2 like a dummy when he only had 1 credit, and I probably should have just spent 1 instead. Yeah, I'm bad at side games. I have to get better at those. We don't have a lot of Jinteki players in my current meta. So I'm realizing what I did, and kicking myself for it, and I'm like, oh, I'll grab some bucks. Maybe next turn I'll install liberated accounts. We'll figure something out here. Important to note, I am tagged from the snare, and I don't drop it for quite a while, if not the entire game, if I remember correctly here. So I get a draw right there from Vigil. You can see he didn't install anything last turn, just took some credits, so Vigil's already starting to pay for itself. Got a card right off the top there, a Crescentus, which if he ever does get ice res and I decide to break it, will allow me to de-res that piece of ice. So now I'm trying to think what I want to do here, and I'm figuring, well, if he's not going to res that ice, I'll just keep running HQ. I want him to res the ice, but he appears not willing to do it. So what do? I find the original House of Knives that I left there 2 turns ago. So now I'm like, okay, well, I'll run R&D. Maybe he'll res on R&D if I run it. And sure enough, he does, and it's a Yagura. So I'm going to eat a net damage here, and he's going to get to look at whatever the top card of R&D is. And lo and behold, what does he hit? He hits my other I've had worse. So now I've fired 2 of them, and I find a Neural Katana on top of R&D, so I got to be kind of cognizant of that now going forward. So I'm like, alright, what do I do from here? So I take some credits. My thought process here being I'll probably drop Liberated Accounts next turn, and there were some kind of dead cards in my hand. Vamp's in the deck, but a lot of times I don't really end up playing Vamp. It's such a hard card to get off in the current state of the game because, you know, the corp economy is actually really good. So here, I'm gambling on the fact that he won't waste credits and clicks to trash Liberated Accounts right now, given how low he is on credits. So I go ahead and install it, take some bucks off it, and go ahead and check HQ again. Again, really all I'm trying to do is get him to res that piece of ice in front of HQ so he loses some more bucks, but he's not taking the bait or he just can't afford it. So I pass the turn over to him, and he installs again over HQ. So now probably tells me that whatever that ice is back there, he can't afford to res it, so he puts something probably cheaper in front of it that he can res. And again, I was kind of correct. He didn't want to waste the credits trashing Liberated Accounts. So I draw some more, take some more money, install a Data Sucker, and it looks like a Corroder. And then I pass my turn back to him. So he gets his first advancement from Tennin up there. I'm assuming he's playing a Tennin Trick of Light deck, but I can't be 100% positive right now. Throughout the game, I didn't see any Trick of Lights come out, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it ended up. So I drain the rest from Liberated Accounts, and I start drawing some cards. I'm looking for... I think I'm looking for a Parasite at this point, so I can pop that Yagura. But I figured, you know what, I'll just Deja Vu and grab a couple mediums. The nice thing about mediums, once they get installed, is they put pressure on the corporation to start putting more ice on R&D. Which spreads him out even more thin than he already is. So you see he advances another piece of ice for Tennin because I didn't run. Starts his turn. And now he has to figure out, well, what do I do about Reina? She has a medium in play. She has 8 credits, which means she can easily get into R&D. All she has to do is suffer some nut damage, and he decides just to take a bunch of credits. I'm thinking he's got agendas in his hand that he doesn't want me getting to, and he wants to be able to res that ice that's in front. So he's trying to win the credit war against me, and right now he's doing well. I'm going to drop this Liberated Accounts and take some bucks off it. And I think this is the turn where he finally remembers that I'm tagged and decides to actually kill it, which is great for me because, again, it's another tempo play. He loses a click and 2 credits, and I'm okay with that because it means he's installing less ice over R&D, which is where I really want to be accessing coming up here pretty quickly. So I think here's where you see him ask me, hey, did you not drop that tag? And I'm like, nope. Which, you know, it was a calculated play on my part. I have the tempo right now. Wasting a click and 2 creds to drop the tag I didn't feel like was very pertinent. I felt like it was a better tempo hit for him to use a click and 2 creds to kill that Liberated Accounts. Especially given the fact I had a day job in my hand as well, so if I really did need money, I could just play out a day job, which essentially is the same amount of clicks for slightly less credits that Liberated Accounts gives you. But in this case, you know, he trashes it anyways, and then he installs over that remote. So, you know, I'm guessing he's stuck here. He either doesn't have agendas in his hand, or he does have them in his hand, but doesn't feel like whatever that ice is on that scoring remote is as good as he wants. So there's the Parasite. So perfect play right there. Parasite kills that Yagura. There's already 1 medium in play. So let's start running. So I'll see 1 card here right off the top. And where do I get right away? Philotic Entanglement. So that's 2 points right there, right off the top of the R&D. The next run will get me 2 cards. And this sucks as the corporation, man. Having an exposed server like that doesn't cost anything to get into, and there's mediums on the board. So there's a Fetal, which I'll take as well. Take some nut damage, and what's he do? He pops another I've had worse, so my hand goes right back up. And now I'm sitting on 2 account siphons, a Deja Vu, a Crescentus, and a Mimic, and I'm just going to keep pounding away at R&D. So now I'm getting 3 cards, 2 Cerebral Casts, and another House of Knives. So right there, in 1 turn, you just saw me pull, you know, 3 agendas off the top of an undefended R&D just thanks to medium. So now I got to discard. I'm going to pop one of the account siphons. I'm not going to need two, and quite frankly, can I even really get into that server? Probably not. You see me thinking about it real quick? Yep. Now here's the real thing. Can he ice up R&D with something that will keep me out and be able to resin as well? So he's kind of stuck in a tough situation at this point. I mean, what do? You know, you have no ice in your hand, you really can't do anything, and it doesn't appear that he does, given the fact that he's installing into the bottom of that remote, and he's advancing whatever that card is. Presumably that's like an ice wall or something like that that he thinks is going to keep me out. All I need is 2 credits to score whatever I find in there, like a beetle or something like that, something I'm not running in FPV, and with a 4-card access, I